From hardcore competitive fighting game players to casual fans just getting together at parties, everyone loves Super Smash Bros. But even the biggest fans have their complaints and grievances. So, like always, we took to the internet between forums and Twitter and everywhere in between just to see what 10 things Super Smash Bros. Players hate the most. Think of these not really as complaints, but more as constructive criticism from passionate fans. But let's get started off with number 10. Now, I've seen many a person bring up the removal of Subspace Emissary and adventure modes as a big negative. Will it return in the future? Who knows? Was it missed sorely by some people? Clearly. Now, it's known that the Great Maze is a subject of hate by many players, but the weird little concept of all the characters coming together to fight through and beat the villain at the end was just simple and cool fun. Think of how cool it would have been in Smash 4 or the upcoming Switch game. There's a lot of possibilities, and I hope they bring it back because we've seen tons of players mourn the loss of both Subspace Emissary and Brawl's adventure mode, so it has to make a comeback somehow, someway. Which at number 9 leads to my next point, Smash Tour. It seems like a lot of people really didn't like it. The intent was for it to make up for the lack of adventure mode and stuff for Smash Wii U, but a quick search will show you an above average amount of people complaining about it. Why? Because ultimately to some people it just feels pointless in terms of like collecting characters when you'll just randomly lose them by being beat by stronger items. I personally never really had a problem with the mode. I don't know, I thought it would be more fun when you play with other people, but maybe they can tweak it a bit to make everyone happy in the future. But I don't know. And since we are on the topic of hating things that are missing from games at number 8, this is another weird complaint, but why did Snake have to go? That's just an example. I'm really talking about any character that somebody might have loved that's now gone. I mean, yeah, with Snake, it was probably a licensing issue, but still, it's Solid Snake. Is he not worth fighting for? Look, okay, I'm super biased because I'm a crazy Metal Gear fan, but he worked pretty well as a fighter, and I think we deserved him. Wolf, too. He was another great character that was just a bummer to see go. While he was pretty much a variant of Star Fox and Falco, his moveset did feel different to make him stand out on his own. It's just a real bummer to lose a character as the roster grows bigger and bigger with every game, especially when you work so hard to get really good with a certain character, only to just have that character removed from the next entry. I know I definitely hate that. But at number 7, let's talk about toxic players. Every community has one, whether it's a player who always cheeses with a certain character to just crappy shit-talking competitive players. There is some player toxicity in Smash just like any other game. Thankfully, Smash communities can usually be pretty amazing, with small scenes being set up in every corner of the world, not even in just cities, but smaller neighborhoods and rural areas, and a lot of them are just filled with enthusiastic players, some of whom I've personally known, and they're awesome. Not even on the competitive side, there might be a toxic player at your party too if you just play these games more casually. You know, that one asshole that's a sore loser and throws the controller or spills your drink? That's usually me. Now next at number 6, this is something that everyone can kind of hate. We've all been there. Ever just like mess up a combo or a move and you get caught with your pants down looking like an idiot, leaving yourself open? I hate when that happens. It happens to everyone at least once, like, you know, when you whiff a certain input. Ever mean to just have your character fall down through a platform, but you mess it up and then the game didn't read it and then you're just crouching on the platform like an idiot? Or maybe you just go to jump and you screw up your up air and you just stupidly fall to your death? Yeah, it's not usually the game's fault. I just like pointing out in these videos that sometimes the things players hate the most is themselves when they mess up. Now at number 5, this might come off as a weird complaint, but it is something we saw a few people complaining about, and that's the overabundance of what some people have been calling, somewhat insultingly, anime swordsmen. People think that there are too many of these guys on the roster. Now, I take offense to that, but it's a pretty self-explanatory term. There's an abundance of Japanese stylized dudes with swords in the game. Now, yeah, most of them control differently. Obviously, Cloud and Shulk don't control exactly the same. They're very different, but still, most of these anime swordsmen and women are actually from Fire Emblem. 6 of them are actually Fire Emblem characters, which is the actual problem because Fire Emblem is represented very well in the most recent Smash in particular. But you could just instead feature someone from another game. Explain to me why we have 6 Fire Emblem characters, but we don't have the greatest Nintendo character of all time, Waluigi? What the hell are you guys doing over there? Get your shit together. Now next at number 4, let's talk about Cloud in general. I've seen a lot of smack talk about Cloud out there, talking about how he's OP and semi-broken, especially with his up air attack. You can either argue this from a technical standpoint and emphasize his strong variety of moves, or chalk it up to someone losing to him and being a bad sport. I'm not gonna argue either way just because it can be a heated topic, but Cloud is the point of contention to some fans. I've seen it out there. I think it's worth pointing out that even if you're not skilled, he is a bit easy to cheese with. But hey, at least we got him in the game, right? Remember when everyone was begging for him? Coming down to number 3, you know what some fans seem to hate? The game itself. No, I'm not really, I'm just kidding. But I do see some people struggling with the game. There's a back and forth between it being casual and competitive, and some players who want to take the game seriously and competitive have issues with certain aspects of the design itself. I'm not hardcore enough to get into all the technicals, but some characters and some certain movesets are derided by some fans for keeping the game from being the competitive fighter it should be, and leaving it more of a party game. The game has so many stages, and yet only a small handful are considered legal for competitive play. And while a main aspect of the game is using items, in most fighting game competitions, items aren't allowed. And that's the thing, that's the problem. Everybody loves this game. Sakurai and the creators are stuck in the middle. Who are they designing the game for? Everyone wants something differently out of it, and that's where I think things can clash a little bit. But honestly, I still think either way, the game would be less interesting if it didn't have that ebb and flow. That constant tug of war between casual and hardcore. I think that's part of what just makes Smash feel a little bit different and special. But at number 2, I know some people definitely hate people that say that every single game is the same, or that one game back to back with the other game before it is the same, like Brawl and 4 are the same or whatever. That's dismissive and wrong. I know some fans who take this really personally. While it may not be obvious to a casual person, play any Smash game for more than 5 minutes and you'll realize that each game is pretty different. Whether it's the feel, the gameplay additions, the speed, the tweaks in movesets or physics, or just the graphics, each game has all of that refreshed in some way, and some better than others, but still, if you're blowing a Smash sequel off, you're usually just gonna miss out. Now coming down to number 1, the biggest thing I see people hate on, the biggest complaints, the longest YouTube video essays and comment threads, balancing. Everyone has an issue with this with one aspect of one of the games. It's just inevitable. I've scrolled through hundreds of threads with people who take individual issue with some aspect of balancing here and there, and almost every other person has a counterpoint and a different issue to go along with that. It's crazy. The L canceling, unbalanced air dodges, Mewtwo's weight, Charizard's grab, tripping, Cloud like we mentioned before, counter imbalances. The list goes on and on, but everyone has a problem with at least something in one of the games from a balancing standpoint. Does that show that these games always need more tweaking, or possibly just no one can be pleased and no game is perfect? I think that's for the hardcore crowd to debate, but it's still worth pointing out that it is the ire of many players. Those are 10 things that we found that Smash players truly hate. Now, we want to hear from you guys down in the comments because we did have to keep this video kind of broad because not everybody is a competitive hardcore player, but I know there are more out there. Everybody has a problem with something from the game, so I want to hear from you down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and you feel like it related to you a little bit, clicking the like button is a good way to help us out, and if you're new, you should subscribe because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.